Welcome to this brief training video on setting up work queue schedules in dp2. Work queue schedules can help you automate and allocate your worker resources to pull for work during predefined intervals assigned to your work queues. I'll walk you through a scenario that defines work queue schedules that ensures the sending of text messages only during daytime hours, as just one example. Please note that work queue schedules do not start workers. Your workers must be running to execute the work in work queues during scheduled intervals. So let's take a look at how it works. Everything you need is right here on the Events taskbar, and I'll start by going to the Work Queues table. From here, you can create new work queues and manage workers on any workstation, and I'll use that later in this tutorial. But I'll first focus on setting up schedules. I'll take this SMS queue that, for example, is used for sending text messages only during daytime hours. I'll start by enabling the Scheduled checkbox, which indicates this work queue is using a schedule. Then I'll save the record. Pressing the Schedule button opens the Manage Schedule table for the selected queue. To add a schedule, I'll press New and an entry is created for the current work queue and day of week. I'll enter start and end times using a 24-hour clock and select Enabled and save the record. Then I'll duplicate this record 6 more times for the remaining days of the week and change the day of the week via the drop-down so that all days are represented. And save those records. So this work schedule ensures that any work in this work queue will only be executed by a worker during this scheduled time frame. And if this work queue schedule is exactly or similarly appropriate for another work queue, you can copy the schedule by selecting both the Copy From and Copy To work queue with the Control key in the Work Queues table. Then right-clicking and choosing Copy the schedule for one queue to another queue. You'll see the same schedule on the additional queue, and you can make changes as needed. Next up is making sure a worker is running, watching my SMS queue. So I'll right-click to check via the View Active Workers for the selected queue menu option. In my example, I don't have a worker running, so I could manually add a worker here, but a much more efficient way of starting a worker is to use the Manage Workers dialog, which makes it easy to start a worker from any workstation on any workstation. The queue, workstation, and instance are all set, so I'll just select Start Worker. You'll be able to see that your work queues are on a schedule in your workers when they are not processing work, and you can also see your active schedule here in the Work Queues table. When your work queues are outside of a schedule, these indicators will also update. And lastly, you can get a big picture view of all your work queue schedules by selecting the Show All checkbox in the Work Queue Schedule table. In this view, you can make any changes as needed. We hope this brief training short on work queue schedules was helpful and hope to hear from you if you have any questions.